Today's episode of Modern Contractor TV is packed with value. I'm sitting down with James Hatfield, a home service pro turned tech entrepreneur who went from painting to running one of the fastest growing tech companies in the US. We talk about what it's really like getting out of the day-to-day, and we dive into his new game-changing software, LiveSwitch, a remote video tool that's saving contractors time, money, and callbacks with just a simple text. If you want to scale your business, increase your close rates, and stop wasting time on site visits, this episode's for you. Let's get into it.
You're listening to Modern Contractor TV, the show for home service pros who want to build real business value, scale profits, and create a company that doesn't rely on them day to day. Hosted by entrepreneur, author, and advisor Teddy Slack, a builder of multiple seven-figure service businesses. Each episode brings you real-world strategies to help you grow, systemize, and prepare for a profitable exit. Let's get into it.
What's up, Modern Contractor TV? Today, we have James Hatfield from LiveSwitch. I'm really excited to speak to James today. He has a lot of experience in the home service industry. He was once himself in the industry, in the painting and power washing industry. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then we're going to dive into his new software called LiveSwitch. What's going on, James?
Teddy, thanks for having me. Looking forward to the discussion today. And, as two guys with big beards, I think we're going to have a lot of fun today.
No, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm really interested to hear a little bit more about your background and about like the painting and the power washing, kind of how you got into that, how you exited that, and then got into eventually software.
Yeah, happy to do it, man. And, I never thought I'd be in software. I didn't come from that. My background, my grandfather never even got to graduate high school because his dad died young. So he had to go and get a job and put food on the table for his family. Imagine doing that at 16-year-olds. It's hard to imagine that, right? And then my father, he came from nothing, built his own homes. Like, I just come from guys that know how to build stuff. And, their big dream for me, especially for my grandpa, was like, James, I want you to be a painter. So that's what I did. I learned how to paint houses from head to toe. He's like, you'll never miss a meal. You always have something to give. And so, that's what I did, graduated and, hit the street and built my businesses and, never expected to ever get off the ladder. I always thought I'd be a home service owner for the rest of my career, honestly.
Yeah, no, speaking about getting off the ladder, I mean, that's one of the things I talk with my clients a lot about is getting out of the day-to-day and how important that is. How did you eventually get yourself out of the day-to-day? And like, what was there like a turning point where it's like, hey, you know what, this is something I got to fix because this is not working?
Yeah. I'd go to the bookkeeper and they'd start speaking English to me and I'd nod and I wouldn't understand a word they were saying. I'm probably like most people listening, you become an accidental business owner. So
Yep.
the things that I didn't know, I was like, oh boy, this is not good. This has to do with my staff's money, my money. Maybe I should probably go get some education around this. So I went back to state school while running my businesses so I could learn the numbers. I literally just went there for business and accounting. I was like, I'm here for one thing because I want to make sure I do that right. And so while I did that and while I learned that, I accidentally again met a guy doing the same thing in landscaping, and he ended up building a technology that could take an income statement and balance sheet, like the exact thing I was struggling with, and make it plain language for any business owner to understand. I was like, that's the problem
Yep.
I needed solving. He's like, well, do you want to go and try and sell it? I'm like, if it gets me off the ladder, I'll give it a shot. So that's what happened. Again, falling into technology is something I just never expected to be in the technology space, but I've been here the last 20 years now.
Yeah, no, and I think that's so cool because it's very similar. We were talking about this offline. I was telling you about BizScore, which is something that I created that does something very similar, which, kind of grades your business on how involved you are in the business and what your financials look like. So that's really cool. And you guys were able to really scale that up and right? Did it go public eventually? Is that what happened with that?
Did not go public, but we were one of the fastest growing companies. So I went from incubator to Inc. 500. Inc. 500 means you're one of the fastest growing companies in the country. And we did that for 3 years straight, ended up taking that business and having a big exit. And it's a multi-billion dollar with a B company now. So that worked out pretty well. So yeah, we never went public with that company.
Wow. No, that's awesome, man. It must be really cool to like take something from, nothing, essentially starting it and then watching it get that big is pretty cool.
So my favorite things to do on the planet is to take something that doesn't exist, make it exist, and then touch a lot of lives with it. And, we've been doing that again. So it's just kind of rinse, wash, repeat, but we do it in all kind of realms, whether we're in the nonprofit space or whether we're in the financial space, or, later we'll talk a little bit more about the video and technology space, but we love birthing these babies, so to speak, and watching them fly.
Yeah. Now, what kind of like tips can you give, I guess, to our listeners, home service contractors, guys that maybe even painting or they're in landscaping or, maybe they're roofers or whatever their home service business is? What kind of tips can you give them as far as either exiting or getting out of the day to day, that type of stuff? Is there anything that can kind of add to that?
Yeah, there's a difference between working in your business and working on your business, right? Working in my business, I'm in at the day to day. I'm in with the customers. I'm on the ladders. I'm doing that. Working on your business, you do need to, like you said, Teddy, think about the future. What does an exit look like? You may not be ready to exit anytime soon, but just like we know how to renovate a home, and know what adds the most value, which is renovating the kitchen. In case you didn't know, almost everyone probably knows that. But when it comes to the business side, we're not always sure what we need to renovate, what we need to work on in the business, and we need to take the time to do that. I would say the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure your financial house is in order. That's what I did. That's what caused a lot of big change for me. I think that's the first step for any business owner, is to get your handle on your books. Even if you don't know, get a good bookkeeper, get in a fractional CFO, get on top of your money, get your money on your mind and your mind on your money. That's old school right there.
Yep.
Second is documenting your process. Learn how to make yourself redundant. I want to give a book recommendation. I just finished this book. I probably need to read it 3 or 4 more times. It says, Making Money is Killing Your Business. So making money and killing your business is all about what they call freedom mapping, freeing yourself from that day to day. I know we all love being the business owner. We love to run the show, but that's not going to go well for you in the long term. Actually, you want to get out of there by documenting all of your processes. Get your processes in order, document those. I know for some of us that makes you want to take a nap. You're like, oh, that's the last thing I want to do. But when you start doing it, you can start making yourself redundant. And that's a good thing when you're running a business. When you can make yourself redundant, it means the business will keep working while you step away. And as you do that and you have this where you're stepping away, you have now are starting to maximize the value of your business as you start to think more at the end towards an exit.
Yeah, 100%. I actually just got done shooting a long form video on essentially that exact thing about how important it is to get yourself out of the day to day, and not only for sale, right? So a lot of people think, well, I'm not selling my business. I don't have any intentions of selling my company. But here's what I say: like, you have to think not about yourself, think about your employees, think about your clients, think about your family. God forbid something happens to you. If that business depends on you, then it's going to fall apart if something happens to you. So, and everybody's going to get affected. So it's not just about selling, right? And that's what a lot of guys think. Because I mean, I have contractors right now, 40 years, they're still in the day to day, and they're like, they don't understand. Like, well, I'm not selling ever. I'm going to leave it to my kids. I'm like, okay, but if your kids can't come in and just like this thing just runs itself, it's going to be very difficult to transfer that business. If everything's in your head, all these systems and processes, what are you going to have? How are you going to transfer that to anybody? So it's very important, and it's not hard to do. I mean, for the first 15 years of my career, this is what I did. I was in the field. I was in the excavator, operating the machines, driving dump trucks. I was sweeping the grounds. I mean, I did everything: sales, marketing, finance. I did every aspect because that's how I was trained. I came from old school family as well. My father was old school. That's how he taught me. He taught me to do everything, which I'm very thankful for because I learned every aspect of business. But then you can only go so far in that mentality, right? You can only grow so much. And then eventually you hit a wall. And that's what happened to me. I could only go so far. And then I figured out, like, all right, I got to fire myself. I actually read the book, Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell, when he first came out with the book a few years back. And I was like, wow, I need to implement this. And I did. And it was like life changing. I mean, it literally changed my entire business career. I fell in love with my business again because now it didn't depend on me. And I was higher level, working on bigger marketing campaigns. This is when I created my YouTube channel. And I was able to do things I never was able to do before because I was so inundated with the business. So I can't talk about how important it is,
I know everybody needs a vacation sometimes, and sometimes your body breaks down. It's just a practical, tactical things of making sure you're ready to come with whatever comes, whether you're going to hand it off to the next generation, whether you're going to hand it off to somebody else, or whether you just need to be able to give that time back to your staff so you can get that time back. It's all full circle. But here's the thing. We know that this stuff is not the sexy part of running the business.
Yep.
Totally get it, right? This is the meat and potatoes and the vegetables of doing what you need to do. So that's your big challenge. Don't avoid it. Don't procrastinate it. Get on top of it now and start knocking out each one of those processes. And it's not this big, sexy looking thing. It's literally, you can do it on one long Google sheet or Google Doc and put every process down. And that's how you just get started.
Exactly. And that's exactly how I teach it too. I do like a 15-minute increment of like what you're working on. And then we start talking about how we delegating it out. A lot of guys think too, like, well, nobody can do it as good as me. I hear that so often from my clients. They're like, nobody can do it as good as me. I'm like, yeah, I felt that way too. But what you have to understand is like, if you can find someone to do it as like to 80% of what you can do it, you have to be okay with that. I know it's like a control thing for a lot of guys too. They don't like giving up control. I didn't either. But once I did it, it was life-changing for me. And you don't need to hire a full-time person. That's some of my clients will say, well, I don't have the funds to bring on someone else. Well, we can delegate some of these things to maybe the in-house staff you already have. If you put the process together and you make it simple for them to understand, so it's repeatable and it's easy to transfer, or maybe even a virtual assistant that could take on one particular task that you're working on. And maybe that's all they do for the whole week. They just do that one task. So there's ways to go around it. And that's what I teach my people is like, we don't have to hire full time. You know, let's think outside the box here and let's start handing these things off and taking things off your plate and really just frees up their time, you know?
That's right. I think it's fear that holds people back.
Yep.
When someone says no one can do it better than me, it's not true.
Yep.
You're not special. Even your mama thinks you're special, but nobody else does, right? And there you got plenty of competition. This can be repeatable. There's nobody that's doing any one thing that someone else can't learn. I think it's just a fear-based thing or a procrastination-based thing, or just not really knowing how to start,
Yep.
with that. But once you get on that path of freedom mapping, you're going to set yourself free in a good way from your business.
Yeah, 100%. It's one of the main things I work on with my clients. It's like one of the first things I try to tell them because it was such life-changing for me once I did it. Because the first 15 years, like I said, inundated day to day. And then I got myself out. I was like, whoa, this is like a completely different business. I actually I fell in love with my business again. I'm like, this is amazing, you know? So yeah, that's huge. So that's cool. So you went from home services, painting, and you fell into the software business, it sounds like. And then from there, you kind of you fell into LiveSwitch. Let's talk about LiveSwitch a little bit, because I think this is such a cool technology. I'm mad I didn't have this a couple of years back when I had my business, because 100% I would have absolutely utilized this, because the way I was doing estimates back then is I would, initially when I got brought into the business, it was very old school. I'd get a phone call, I'd pick up the call, I'd schedule a meeting with the homeowner, I'd run out there, whether that was that day or 2 days later, whatever it was. I'd meet him in person, I'd go back to my office, email him a quote. I mean, it's so archaic, but this is back in like 2005. So eventually I'm like, this is not going to work. So I'm like, let me see if I could look on Google. And when Google Maps came out, I would look on Google, and then I would zoom in on the front lawn. And if I could see the access to their house, I'd ask them over the phone, where's your oil tank located? Oh, it's in the front yard. Yeah. Okay. I see the access, and I would quote her over the phone and email them. That alone changed my business, because it just sped up the entire process. And most people want fast. When they're calling your business, they want quickness. They don't want to wait days and days for a quote, or days for you to, maybe you're going to show up, maybe you're not, So the LiveSwitch, your technology, I feel like if I had this, I mean, this is like 10 times better than Google, and we'll talk about it because of the features that it has. So it's really exciting.
Oh yeah, it's been an amazing journey. And again, we never intended to be back in home services. We decided that we wanted to build another billion-dollar tech company instead of starting from scratch this time, because we had some capital. Let's buy one and make something great. So we spent months and months looking for a company all over the world, found one in Vancouver, Canada. We still have the founder. We purchased it 5 years ago, and now we're headquartered in Raleigh, North Carolina. And we bought a company that specialized in a communications platform, specifically with live video. And actually, everyone listening has probably seen our stuff, touched it, and had no idea it was us. As an example, we did the Super Bowl the last 3 years. If you go to an MLB ballpark for baseball and scan a QR code and they put you on the Jumbotron, that's us.
Wow.
During COVID, if you remember when the NBA had the bubble and they had brought in all the virtual fans, that was us. The WWE wrestlers, when they had the TV screens with fans on it, that was us. And we never intended to be in home services. And I'll tell you how we got here, because I think it's a pretty interesting story. So we had the chief of police from Washington, D.C. knock on our door, and we needed to reinvent America's 911 phone call. Okay. And so now everyone has 3 or 4 cameras in their pocket. We wanted to find a way, when a citizen is compromised, to quickly get into your camera feed and stream that live video to the police car, fire truck, or emergency medical, so they can see what they're driving into. It's called situational awareness. And so we figured this out. We do it through an SMS text message. A person taps it. Not only are you talking to them over the phone, which is, one way the phone is actually very archaic, which is why the phone is the worst part of your smartphone, because it's ancient technology. Now we can get in through tapping a text, and you can now point that video camera and it goes right to the police car. So the question was like, well, who else could use no app, see what I see, remote assistance technology? And I got in front of the guy who takes care of the Nashville, Tennessee Titans football team. This guy's great. His name's CT, 20 years in the FBI. He's taking care of the Tennessee Titans football team. And I'm showing him everything for the emergency response. And he goes, James, I got the stupidest question. I'm like, what is it? He's like, can I just text my guy across the arena when the trash cans fall over and he can just show me? That way I don't have to hop in my little golf cart, because that would really help me. And I was like, oh, man, that reminds me of the Nextel walkie-talkie. I still don't know what ever happened to those things, but I loved having the Nextels in my home service business. But I'm like, this is just like the Nextel walkie-talkie, but with video. And that's the origin story. And I will get into a little bit more of it, but that's kind of like, again, back to accidental finding. But it's been pretty fun watching everything play out.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. I mean, I love that, you guys went into, an acquisition looking for, a technology company, but then you also pivoted after you got into it, which is really cool, because sometimes in business you have to pivot, right? So you get into something thinking you're going to go one direction, and then you start thinking about, like you said, how can this apply in other services, other industries? And then you guys pivoted to home service, which is really cool, because I do think, obviously it's really cool for 911. I think that's an amazing feature to have. Now, is that rolled out throughout the country? How do you get the police stations to sign up for that? How does that work?
Yep. So with all things government, it takes a little bit longer than you want. I know that's a shocker, right? And then especially when you're trying to do those things. So what happened is, as we're working on those, that happening, it was just one of those things like, well, who else could use this? And that's when I talked to the guy from the Tennessee Titans, and I talked to another guy. He's just a good buddy of mine, and he is in the Hall of Fame of self-storage of all industries. I didn't even know there was a Hall of Fame of self-storage, but he's like, James, this stuff was brilliant we're trying to do a lot of remote management. I got less people managing more facilities. You need to figure this out. Cause I was like, I don't know anything about self-storage. So I went over, started meeting all the smarty pants guys in self-storage. And I was like, oh, so we started building, but in my ignorance, I called companies that said moving and storage on them, because it said storage on the building. I'm like, what? Nope, these guys move boxes. I was like, oh, like movers. Well, I met this really credible guy. He does a ton of training in the moving industry. I'm sitting down with him, and he's like, James, you're sitting on liquid gold. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you should know this. You ran home service companies. The most expensive thing I do as a business owner is I put an hourly wage guy in one of my trucks, burning my gas up, just in the hopes of winning business. And sometimes when we get out and we tell someone how much it's going to cost to move their family, they're like, oh, never mind, I'm getting 2 pizzas and all my friends, right? I'm sure this has happened to a lot of folks when people see how much it's going to cost, right? I'll just dig up the thing myself, right? In my own front yard. You're like, yeah, good luck with that.
I did get that surprisingly a lot. People say, oh, I have a backhoe. Can you just use my backhoe? And I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that.
No, that's when you go in to clean up the mess, right?
Yep.
After they try and fail. And so, but that being said, he was so right. So what he was doing with our stuff now that we built for the emergency response is, when someone would call in or request a quote, he would just say, hey, can I send you a text and you show me the job? And it did 3 things for him. He's like, James, it does 1 of 3 things. 1, it can rule out the people that are just going to move with pizza boxes and their friends. And that saved me a trip out. 2, there's tons of people now with Amazon that they're either their company's paying them to move, or they just want things fast, or they know I'm good. And I just can quote it virtually and get the money, basically. And then 3rd, I can do discovery. I'm like, ooh, they got a good project, or maybe it's more of a commercial deal rather than residential, or bigger bucks, like you're worth driving out for, right? So it's that validation. And then the customer can see me, the business owner, or one of my sales guys, and it builds that ultimate trust. Because people really buy from the face. When I ask my business owners, like, do you still close deals over the phone or over chat or over text? No one does. Yep. They just have to answer quick questions, but they always go on property because they want to close a deal. So he was right. And now we've got thousands and thousands of users. We're under the hood of ServiceTitan, Jobber, all kinds of CRMs. And it's just been a natural acquisition for all kinds of businesses using our stuff. It's been wild to watch it.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I mean, ServiceTitan is a beast. I mean, that CRM is amazing. I actually was thinking about transferring over to ServiceTitan, but we were on a little of an older setup, because I went off the books back in like 2015. I was all paper. I went from paper to a CRM. I was using actually Podio, which is more in the real estate space, but I confirmed, I made it like, custom for my business at the time. And then I had a bunch of other softwares that I kind of bundled together. But yeah, this would have been awesome to have 100% in my business, because I know for a fact fact, like we would get that call a lot, like, hey, come out, like I said. And then I went to the Google Maps. If I would have had this, I could have sent them a link. So essentially how it works is you just text the client a link, they click it. And no matter if they have an Android or an iPhone, it opened up a video that they could just walk around their property and they could show you. And there's like a pointer feature, right? That you could point them to show them where to walk. I mean, it's super cool.
Oh yeah, we have laser pointers. We're recording everything. You can take remote photos. You can share your screen and walk through a bid if you're doing a follow-up. It does all that on the front end. And then you start using it in operations, marketing, and follow-up. Now that you have all these cameras in your pocket, and what I'm hoping everyone listening is going to start thinking about, I hadn't thought about how to use these cameras to advance my business, whether it's covering your backside. Think about getting on property instead of hopping right to work. Have your operations team do a pre-walk around, like video everything. Because when things get done, like when I painted houses, I do the final walk around and the homeowner would be like, hey, you dented my gutters. I'm like, no, things were already dented. You just didn't see it because now you have fresh paint and everything looks good,
Yep.
And so I didn't dent those, but I can go back to my instant replay and show them, look, before I even came on property, you had dented gutters, right?
Wow.
Or customers, they love seeing the progress of the job, whether they're residential or commercial. If they're paying you 4 or 5 figures, now you can have your team. We have QR codes that your guys can scan, take a video, and it shows the progress to the homeowner, especially if you need to report that back to insurance, show the progress. And at the end, you're taking customer testimonials. You're even doing leave behinds with QR codes on site to claim your property. We can talk about that in a little bit, but these live videos and photos, you put them all over your website and everywhere, in Google, and all these AIs are now crawling over your website looking for real photos and real videos. It actually elevates the trust that you're actually doing the real work. So these are just stuff we didn't think about as business owners. Like, you never have had to do that, but now in modern marketing and the age of Amazon and all this stuff, these are things that you can do to really set yourself apart.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's super cool because even like, so for the CRM I was using, I know like it did photos, but it wouldn't do video, which I always wish it did. Right. So, I mean, so the video actually gets saved. It's not saved. Would it be saved in ServiceTitan, or is there like a link inside of ServiceTitan where they click inside the CRM and then it brings it into the LiveSwitch platform and it's all back there? Like, how does that work?
Yep. It's saved in both places, right? So we're going to have links in ServiceTitan. We're going to have links in LiveSwitch, because sometimes you even change your CRM. I know a lot of guys try different CRMs out until they find the magic one. Well, you want to be able to take all of your photos, videos, and everything with you wherever you go. So we don't tie in exclusively anywhere. So let's say you went from ServiceTitan to Jobber, you could still have all of your photos and videos with you. We just want to be that live video company, because there are no other platforms that do what we do. None of them. And then the only closest competitors that we have are things like FaceTime, but we're the reverse of a FaceTime call. In fact, like, you're having the business owner look at themselves large. It's the reverse of FaceTime. They can see themselves large. They're walking around property. If they have big glasses like me, it helps them. You've got laser guidance systems. You've got recording. It's just purpose built for remote assistance, where like a FaceTime was built for grandma to watch the kids blow out the candles on a birthday. It wasn't invented. And that's why nobody uses these other platforms to do this, because it never was purpose built. And that's what we're finding. And so all these other companies, like the ServiceTitans, like the Jobbers, getting into live video is why you don't see it, because it's really hard. So now they're just bolting our stuff under the hood of it so you can access it anywhere. That's really what's been going on in the industry.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it records is amazing. Like, you could go back, you could reference it, like you said. I mean, you're not getting that on FaceTime. So, you can do a FaceTime call, but like, first of all, the person has to have the Apple iPhone. So if they don't have an iPhone, you're beat. And then it doesn't record it. So like, those two features alone, the fact, you know what I mean, that it's super simple. They don't need to download a software. It's just click a link, boom, the video pops up, and then it records it all, is amazing. Like you said, even after the job, I would have my guys do a video of the job to show, like you said, it's completed, and I can drop that into my file. That's amazing to have that content. And then the testimonials. I mean, it's huge to get a testimonial from the customer, and you have an easy way to now do that and keep track of that. It is an awesome platform. I really wish I had this when I had my business a few years ago. But I'm telling everybody now that I speak to, like, you should look into this. Definitely check this out. This is an awesome feature to have access. I mean, video is the future, right? Everything's going to be on video.
It's
Everybody wants
totally
video.
the future, and it shines light on everything. And I'm sure some of the listeners, they've now gone to get their car work done, and the auto dealerships are now using it to show proof of work. Like, hey, we did change your oil. We did change the filter. We did the air in the tires, and it has a whole video. And this is what's going to, customers are going to expect this level of transparency, which builds trust. And it's not just good for the customer. It's actually good for you as the business owner or the sales team member or project manager, because it keeps the customer accountable. Remember the fact that I said, hey, the customer's like, you dented my gutters. No, we didn't. Like,
Yep.
it was already there. So I'm keeping my team safe. I'm making sure my sales team isn't selling world peace, and that everyone's on the same page, and that we're really trying to balance all that. And nothing is ever stored on a customer device or employee device. That's a risk. So if you're scrolling through all the photos of your jobs on your phone, that is not good.
Yep.
That is a liability and a risk. So you want to put everything in the cloud, and everything we do, this nerdy talk, is called SOC 2 certified. We have to do it because we work with the governments. But it's good because when someone's like, oh, a video, I'm like, actually, the live video is safer than the phone call that we're on right now. So safety is a big importance, storage and everything, because videos are very large files, and you want access to these at anywhere and be able to send this to anybody. And so all of the little bits and pieces we've thought about, because I used to be on the ladder. Like, I know what it is to run, and same with my business partner. I used to run landscaping companies. So we know what you guys are going through.
Yeah. So if you had talked about who would you say is your most popular home service company that's utilizing this product right now?
Oh, I mean, I can name all kinds of franchises. Serve Pros, use our stuff. One Tom Plumber, College Hunks hauling junk, Fish Windows. Like, we got all the franchises. And then we've got a lot of small mom and pops. Like, frankly, the most users are the smallest customers, because they're having to compete with the big boys and girls. And they know that race to the face, speed to lead is everything. Like, I'm going to beat you because I'm faster. I'm going to beat you because I'm available. I'm going to beat you because, like, I'm local, right? So they want to use that. I got guys that live in their trucks, and they're doing these bids when they're on a property already doing a project. They're also doing the bid. They've got to take and be able to run their business from their phone. And so that's what we're really helping them. But we also help the big boys and girls too. So, I mean, if you're in a franchise situation, we've got you. But I really find that our home services space, our contractors, especially the smaller ones, are really our main size customers. We have thousands and thousands of them.
Yeah. So you guys have been around now how long in the space?
So our company is 16 years old, but we've been specifically in this space for a little over 2 years.
Oh, wow. So you guys have really taken off like crazy in the last 2 years. It's tapping into the home service space.
Oh, yeah. It's just, I want you to think about me when you're filling up your trucks with gas, when you're behind the windshield. It's really the least productive thing that we do, unless you're listening to a podcast on the way, of course. Otherwise, it's just no productivity in my business having my guys behind windshields, especially if they forget get the wrong tools. A lot of guys will have their operations teams watch the video before they drive out to make sure they've got all the right tools, because they know if they drive out 30 minutes and crap, it's a 3-story building, I got to go get my bigger ladders. They turn back around. That's just waste. Unproductive time. Callbacks. Like, I got a sod company, they'll lay sod, and it's very normative for the grass to turn a little brown or gray for the first few weeks, but it freaks customers out. They're like, I just spent thousands on grass and it's gray. So they'll call, and typically they would drive back out and, it's fine. Now they just do video and they're like, nope, I can see it. This is normative. If the grass is still gray, and a couple more weeks from now, of course, we'll come back out and replace those patches. But those callbacks can kill you. If you're an HVAC person, you're putting in the Nest thermostats, or you're a plumber, and like, you just need to know it's the flap. Like, it's those free trips. The free trips for the customer are not free trips for you as a business owner. Those are nonprofit trips.
Yes. Yeah. And we would get those in my business because we would do a big excavation, take out a bunch of contamination, and then we'd backfill, but it would settle because it's just natural settlement. You can never get 100% compaction. So that excavation would settle out. And then, like you said, the customers would freak. They'd be like, hey, I got a big hole in my yard. I'm like, big hole? There's no way. Can you send me a photo? So they would send a photo, but it was never as good. If I had video, I mean, we did sometimes we would get a FaceTime and, walk through it. But with this technology, having it record it and be able to like point the pointer around, the laser pointer. I mean, I just think it's so cool to have that feature. And again, a lot of my clients didn't have FaceTime, or they weren't, maybe they just didn't know how to use that technology. They're like, FaceTime, what? Some older clients. So, this is like, hey, it's a text message, just click a link on it and it pops right up.
That's right. And then we're also been doing a lot when you have low and no internet, or you don't want another person on the other end. So think about when you're outside and maybe you're in a rural area and the internet just sucks. We have this thing called a video Dropbox, where you literally can just tap a button, take the video, it'll cache in the browser. And then even when you get back to the crappiest of internet, even 3G, it'll upload. And this is really good for guys that are working in basements, outside, in the attic, or if you forgot something, you're like, forgot to look at the garage, or I forgot to look at the shed. You can just send a text, have them take a video of the shed while you're working on something else. And then the final piece is these QR codes are really popular. So a lot of our home service guys will put QR codes on the things they fix or take care of. So if they're an HVAC, guy, they're putting on the HVAC unit. If they're, a plumber, they're putting on the water heater. If they're an electrician, they're putting it on the breaker box. And what they're trying to do is keep the customer from ever Googling plumber near me, power washer near me, installer, fill in the blank near me. They want that customer to go to the issue, because anytime we got an issue, as a business, as a homeowner, we just go look at it. Like, we know how to fix it. We don't. We got to call somebody. But you got, just like, so there's a crash on the other side of the highway. We got to stop and look at it. Like, we're going to help. Keep driving, dude. But we go there. The first thing we want them to see is your company logo, your company's phone number, and a QR code that says take a video of the issue. They scan it, take a video, you're alerted. And so it's speed. But what we're trying to do is get them not to Google. And if maybe a new tenant moves in, or a new homeowner or property owner or a new company moves in the building, oh, I guess this is my, restoration company, or I guess this is my plumber. Yep. So it's a race, and they're even putting them on marketing material, like neighborhoods you've always wanted to work in. They're saying, hey, put this QR code up. If you ever need something, fill in the blank, you call this or scan this. So there's a race to claim property right now.
Yeah, no, speed to lead is huge in the industry. A lot of guys don't understand that. And as you probably know, I mean, one of the things I deal with is when you call contractors, a lot of times you don't even get a call back. So it's like, you could be that guy that, quickly responds. And if you have a QR code that goes directly to a video, and then you're calling right away, hey, I got your notification that you just did a video. I saw the video. Here's how we would fix it. Do you want us to come out? Like, you can just on top of that, I could see how that could be huge for sure.
That's right. It gives a speed bump. It buys you a little time. If someone takes a video, you're their first choice. You're getting that first shot at across the bow, and you're also looking more tech forward. Some of our guys even will sell these platinum packages or coverage packages, or all-star customer package, and say, oh, with the purchase, let's put up a QR code, so I'm always there when you need me. And that's further giving you recurring revenue, right, with that program, and then also recurring business for you to come back out and fix whatever needs fixing, or update whatever needs updating, because recurring revenue is the best revenue in any business out there. And so we want to find ways to maximize recurring revenue.
Yeah, it's huge. It's actually, that was one of the levers. So I mentioned 5 levers in the last video I just recorded, and recurring revenue is one of them, because that 100%, that's going to drive the value of your business. If you can implement recurring revenue and find a way to do that, some kind of subscription model or maintenance package, something, and then, tying this to it, it's like, hey, you got access to me. Anytime you have an issue, you just scan this QR code and you're getting direct access to a technician in my business. I mean, that's very beneficial. People, that's a lot of times, people don't want to call and deal with an answering service or deal with somebody from a different country. I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's what it is. They don't want to deal with that. They want to speak to someone, that can answer their questions quickly. And if you have an access to just click a link to go to a video to a technician, I mean, that's huge in my opinion.
Totally. And these are just a little bits and pieces of some of the customer experience that you're trying to give and differentiate yourself, and doing little things. I mean, I hear all kinds of home service companies just being very thoughtful. And I kind of almost hate it to hear, like, I would never want to compete with some of these home service companies that are just customer centric. They're really thinking about the experience. Like, I've got a moving company that after the move is done, they know what your favorite meal is, and they've baked it into the price, where they're like, hey, dinner's on us tonight. Here's the gift cards to the restaurant. And,
cool.
take it, like, but it's thoughtful things like that. Or during the years, if you're like a power washer, I want to get those soft washes done every other year. So to remain top of mind, I might again get them on that platinum package or recurring revenue, but use that revenue to send out a little gift. Some folks now are doing mascots and stuffed animals for the kids. They'll come over, and, like, when they're on property, they'll do just things that are just set themselves apart to get another piece, referrals, right? Being top of mind, reminding people, being someone like, I've never had a fill in the blank, an electrician like this before. They're going to tell all their friends, but you have to go beyond just a transactional experience, which is what most of our contractors are in the mindset of. They're in the hunter mentality. When's the next job? How much am I going to make? Get on off that property as fast as possible and move on to the next one. And frankly, that kind of business also isn't valued as highly as the recurring revenue businesses. So you got to kind of break out of that old school mentality.
You got to think outside the box, and you have to, my whole thing is thinking about your customers' pain points, right? So I talk about this a lot. It's like, one of the things I did in my industry was in forever, for 30, 40, 50 years, they would always give line item proposals in the environmental industry, because they would say, well, we don't know how much contamination is in the ground, right? So it starts at this price and then it goes up from there, and it goes to infinity. I mean, some of these jobs can be hundreds of thousands of dollars to clean up, and they start around $8,000. So it's like, you go from $8,000 to $100,000, like, and people read these stories online and they get super scared, but that's not the norm, right? Typically they would range anywhere from like 8 to 15 grand, somewhere in that neighborhood. But people read these stories and they get scared. So I thought outside the box. I'm like, all right, here's a pain point in my industry. How can I fix this? And how can I come up with something that's a little bit different that nobody's offering? So I'm the only company offering this. And that's exactly what I did. I came up with a system where I went out ahead of time and I would probe down for a very reasonable amount of money. I'd probe the soil to determine how extensive it was, how deep it is, how far it traveled. And then I would give a fixed price. And I was the only contractor in the entire industry that would offer a fixed price. My competitors hated me, but my customers loved me. And my closing rate went through the roof. My gross profit margins went through the roof. I mean, it was like one of the best things I could have done. And that was just me thinking about the client and what their pain points were and how do I solve it. And I feel like you can do that in any industry if you really just think about your clients and think about how you could better serve them.
That's right. You're capitalizing on predictability. We love predictability. When you order a pizza from your favorite pizza restaurant, you have a certain thing in your mind. If they bring out a rotten pizza or something that's not as good, there goes your consistency. And that's the same thing with home services. You had fixed price, so you were consistent. And then if you document your process every time, everybody knows exactly what is happening, especially on these big jobs. I heard at one home service company, they're doing monster renovations for big time cash. We're talking, high 5, low 6-figure jobs. And at the end of it, they'd actually give a special like spa day, right? To say thank you. And the one customer told their friends, like, hey, if you get this big renovation, I think put me on a spa day. Well, they went to the next house, did a renovation, and they didn't give the spa day. They gave something different. They're like, oh, we'll give you some books. That customer was so disappointed. And the reason is consistency, predictability, putting it into that, process. Also, you sometimes need to change the process when you mess it up. But once you have it down, what Teddy is saying about this predictable, modality, it's incredible. And you back to square one of documentation. If you don't document this stuff, you can't be predictable. You're completely unpredictable. You're going to change like the weather.
No, exactly. I mean, it's all about repeatable processes and systems and simplifying it too. Like that's what I found in my industry. Even for my admin people in the office, like they couldn't give a proposal because there were so many nuances. So when I went to flat rate, anybody could sell that. It's like, it's one price, right? So you customer call in, I gave the process and how they would go onto Google. They'd look, if it was easy access, we'd quote it right over the phone. And again, if I had this technology 100%, I would have sent the link, had the customer walk around the property and would make the proposal that way, even for the tough access ones. So this technology, LiveSwitch, would have 100%, like for a lot of my jobs, they were in the backyard. So I would have to go out there for those ones specifically because I would have to measure and I have to see if I get my equipment back there. And if I had LiveSwitch, I could just go right into it, tell them to walk to the backyard, and then I'd be able to tell through the video, yeah, I could get my excavator back there, no problem, and I'd be able to quote it. It would have saved me so much time, and it would have been amazing. So yeah, this technology is super cool. I'm super excited to let everybody know about this and let my clients know about it because I think it's something that everybody should be using because it could save a ton of time and money, speed up your processes, make you more efficient as a contractor, and also think about your clients. Nobody's doing this, right? I mean, I don't know any contractors that are doing this. Obviously, they are because you have a product and it's very popular. But personally, I don't know anybody. It's definitely not my industry. And if you're the one company in your industry, in your area, I mean, you're going to stand out as opposed to other contractors who are like, oh, I got to come out and see your property in 2 days or 3 days. You're going to go way further if you're sending a link and you're popping right into them and then you're looking at their project,
Absolutely. This touches every part of your business. Every part of your business. This is just, whether you lose LiveSwitch or not, documentation, starting to use those cameras in your phone, is going to revolutionize everything for you guys.
Yeah. And then as far as the video testimonials, do you have a lot of guys that are utilizing it for that specifically? And how does that process work? It's like a separate video, obviously, and then the same thing, it comes in like a link, it goes to the CRM, and then that gets posted as a video testimonial?
Yep. So the data says you need to ask somebody 7 times to get any kind of review, whether it's a simple Google review or a customer testimonial or anything. So you can automate that. Some of my companies use a program. I don't get paid a dime for this stuff. They use a company called Nice Job, and Nice Job has this feature that will remind in 7 different ways. It can come in through links, QR codes on gift boxes, QR codes on site, incentivizing your team to say, hey, before you leave, ask the customer when you're doing the final walk around. Because we forget stuff, right? Your guy might forget, I totally forgot. We'll now put them in the automated follow-up process. Or it can be in links that you tap or QR codes that you scan, and then you get the customer testimonial, whether they leave it for 3 seconds, a minute, 3 minutes, you can chop it up as well. There's different programs that can chop it up and put things on there. And then you're going to want to put that, anywhere you can. If you're on your Facebook, on your LinkedIn, on your website, on your Google business profile, that type of video will do amazing things for you.
Yeah, this is one of the things that I helped my fiance out with her website. We did video testimonials specifically. She's in the hair salon business and she does high-end extensions. And we did video testimonials and it was huge, high impact. I mean, people they want to see video. They want to hear other people. They want to hear what their experience was. And it does go a long way. And this is something 100% video testimonials. I've been doing those for my business since probably back in like 2014, 15 when I started video, and it was huge, very impactful. And yeah, you could on YouTube, Facebook, all the socials, you could just push it out there and it's just social proof. And it goes a long way for sure.
Yeah, that organic liking, sharing, commenting. I know the stuff that might drive some of us crazy to hear, like, subscribe and all that stuff. But you start putting this into your workflows and into your business things, starting to give back. Oh my goodness. Like, I'm always coaching our premier business owners on how to elevate their presence, specifically using LinkedIn, and how they can go about expand their entire network. I've become a thought leader in so many different industries. I'm not special. I can be replicated and I can teach any of the business owners. And I'll tell you right now, I'll give you just a couple secrets to the game. It's so easy. If you go to LinkedIn every day, make sure you've got a nice looking photo, you got a nice looking background, you're about us. Teddy has a great one if you want to look at one. I watched yours, Teddy. So look at Teddy as an example. What I want you to do is, in your industry, whether it's anybody nationally, any vendors, just go in for 20 a day. It's going to take you like 15 minutes to do this. Hit the connect button on 20 different people in your industry every day. Don't do any more. You'll get blacklisted. Okay. So take it from me. All right. So go 20 a day. And what'll end up happening after you do this for 2 or 3 months, when you hit connect with someone, you'll have like 150 mutual connections. And you know what they're thinking? Why don't I know this guy? And they'll connect with you. And while you're doing that, once a week, you take these videos that Teddy and I are talking about. It can be customer testimonials. It can be on the job. It can be any part of the business. And you share once a week. You know what will happen? People are going to look your way. They're going to reach out to you. You might even get asked to speak on stage. You're going to be looked at as a thought leader. And you really didn't do too much. You were just like, I'm just recording my job and hitting connect. It'll work. It's worked for me. It's made me thousands and thousands of dollars. It's worked for my home service guys, making them thousands of dollars and elevating them in their industry. So there you go. There's your free tutorial on making yourself famous.
Yeah, no, that's huge. I mean, that's exactly what I did. So in my business, we worked with realtors a lot. They, because in the environmental industry, if you want to sell your home in New Jersey and it has an oil tank, you can't sell it unless you deal with that oil tank. So either removing it or testing it, one way or the other, you have to deal with it. So what I did back in the day, this is, back again, early 13, 14, 15, I just built out my network on Facebook. I just friend requested every realtor I could find. I literally was looking up on the MLS and I just friend requested every single realtor I could find. And I didn't know these people, but I was friend requesting them and they were in my network. People I want to connect with. And then anytime I posted content on Facebook in reference to oil tanks, well, what do you know? I'm known now as the oil tank guy. And it was funny because people would call my office and be like, oh yeah, my buddy Teddy, my friend Teddy. And then my office would be like, yeah, your friend John's on the phone. I'm like, John so-and-so. I don't know anybody. This name is, Facebook friend. Yeah. So I had so many Facebook friends that I never met, but they were in my network. And it was huge for my business. And 100% what James is saying on LinkedIn is huge right now. And it's easy to post. I mean, if you just post yourself talking real quick and just talk about your business, about what you're doing. Hey, we're doing flooring, or I'm doing power washing. Hey, I just paint this house. Check it out before and afters. People like that stuff. It's content. They want to absorb it. They want to, they want to see it. So yeah, it's easy to do. And it's, like you said, it doesn't take a lot of time and it makes a big impact for sure.
Yeah. And if you actually do what we've been talking about earlier, make yourself redundant, like teach your sales team how to do this, teach some of your other staff how to do this. They're going to be like, why do you want me to do that? What? I'm all right. I can hear it. I've had team members like this before, but look, as a coach, as a business owner, as a boss, whatever title you want to give yourself, if you can elevate your team around you, they're going to know that. And your level of actually them wanting to stay with you elevates. It might feel like, oh, I'm going to work these guys out of a job or they're going to compete with me. Actually, it's not that. That's not true. By you elevating your team, teach them how to do this stuff and the why behind it, it will obviously help your own business, but your retention rates will start going through the roof. But you've got to put in that extra time.
Exactly. I mean, think about just the network effect of if you have all your employees doing it. If you have 5, 6, 7, 10, 12, whatever, 15 employees, and now they're all reaching out to their networks, and maybe you have some kind of referral program, and that's something that I implemented in my business with, hey, if you bring in a job, you'll get a referral, you get a referral fee, and, incentivize them to put their name out there. Yeah, I work for such and such company. This is what we do. Again, it's basic stuff to get out there. And it spreads like wildfire.
And you never know. A friend of a friend or a friend of a family member who is Facebook famous posts about you in a positive way. And you're like, I'll tell you one story that has nothing to do with this. I love fantasy football. All right. And I'm dating myself, but I remember when YouTube first came out and they first started putting cameras in the laptops. And I was like, oh, I just want to play around with this. I started giving recommendations for waiver wire pickups. And it's basically free agents that you can put on your team. Well, I started sharing those videos, and sure enough, the New York Times shared my video, and I ended up eventually having 500,000 followers in fantasy football,
Wow.
doing radio shows with Tiki Barber with Google. So you just
Wow.
never know who's looking and watching. Because I didn't know this gal from the New York Times was looking at my stuff, but she's like, your content is awesome, and that's why I shared it. And you just never know. So this is why sharing of videos for me dates back for many decades, and how it can really elevate your team. What Teddy's saying will happen for you. Teddy wasn't special. I'm not special. We just had the guts and courage to take a video and put it in the right space, and it came back to me as a business owner.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that I did in my industry is I created a YouTube channel, which a lot of guys think when I talk to these contractors, like, well, I can't afford that. I can't afford like a production company or any of this stuff. I'm like, no. This is not like that. At the time I hired a basically entry level videographer who I liked his work. I looked at his portfolio. So I brought him in house full time, and he was the guy who did the shooting. He did the editing. He did the posting. I mean, he did it all for me. And he was like an addition to our team. And essentially we didn't have thousands of subscribers, and it wasn't about getting YouTube famous. It was about getting directly to our clients, right? To our ideal clients. And that's exactly what happened. And the clients would call up and they'd be like, I watch your YouTube channel. I watch all the videos. I feel like I could sell your services now. I want to come work for you. And they just really got to know, like, and trust me. They would say, hey, the guy in the beard is the guy in the beard. I want to talk to him, So it was funny how it works. And again, you don't need thousands of subscribers, but it has such a huge impact. And I preach video like no other to all my clients. Like, if you can, this is a project you need to work on because it has a huge impact.
Nobody gets up in the morning to watch oil tank videos.
No.
They only do it when they got a problem and they start YouTubing it. And that's just how people do it. I guarantee all the listeners, when you don't know how to fix something in your home, the first place you go to is YouTube, and you watch it and try to learn to fix it yourself. Right. So someone's not going to fix an oil tank themselves, but then they start seeing the man with the beard down there talking like he knows what he's talking about, because he does. That builds the trust. There gets the deal. And content matters. You don't have to have all this flashy, bangy whiz. You don't even need a product. If you have, it's content, you guys. Like, it's so content. Like, if you're showing how you fix stuff, it does not have to be pretty. Nobody expects the contractors' videos to look pretty, right?
No.
But when they see that you know what you're talking about, that takes away a multitude of making it look. In fact, that also builds trust. So it doesn't have to be this well done up stuff. So don't overthink it, guys.
Yeah. And here's a little tip that, goes a long way, right? So when you have YouTube content and you have a client that's going to Google and they are searching for plumbers or painters or power washer near me, and then, 5 minutes later or an hour later, they decide to go on YouTube to watch cat videos, right? They're not even going there to look for a contractor, and they started looking up cat videos. Now, all of a sudden, Google owns YouTube. So when you put a targeting around their keyword, it'll pop up. So you'll be that first ad that pops up the first 15 seconds. And now they're starting to see, wait, I was just searching for a painter and now there's a painter on my ad. That's so weird, right? People don't realize how that stuff works. And they're like, oh, that's funny. This guy's in Jersey or whatever. Oh, I want to click on him. And then boom, now they're on your ecosystem. Now they're checking out your YouTube channel. Now they're going to your website. And that's how you drag them into your network, into your ecosystem. And then boom, they're now trusting you because you're giving out great content. You're educating them about your services, and it works like magic. It really does.
Yeah. That's it. There you go. Now everyone's an influencer who listens to you.
Yeah, no, it's awesome, man. Well, listen, do you want to get into pricing with LiveSwitch? You want to speak about that, or how do you want to handle that?
Yeah, so we do things based on like Netflix licenses. We do it by licenses. You will not buy this for everyone in your company, nor should you. We do minimum of 2 licenses. You can add. Usually it's salespeople, project managers, people that'll need that. And then if you want to put QR codes on site, anybody can scan that. They don't have to be a user. I mean, we're talking about stuff that literally is $5 a day per user. Like, I fight your gas tank. And you get unlimited use, unlimited videos. We store it indefinitely. It comes with training. We have 24/7 training. There's a 60-day money back guarantee. So if you're not happy after 2 months, we'll give you all your money back. We don't lock you in. We're easy to do business with. And in fact, if you want to learn more or do a demo, you can just, again, go to LinkedIn, look up James Hatfield at LiveSwitch, or just go to LiveSwitch, LiveSwitch.com, and ask for James. I've told Teddy, anybody who's interested, I won't farm you off to anyone else in my company. You can have me direct. I'll make time for anyone listening. And so I'm easy to get a hold of, and we can walk you through, put your hands on it and, see the pricing and kind of go from there.
Yeah, guys, that's amazing. I mean, 60-day money back guarantee, you can't beat that. You guys have to at least try this out. This is going to definitely change your business. In my opinion, this is something that I would 100%, if I was back in the trades, I would 100% be using this technology. And I'll link up all the links inside of the show notes so you guys could direct right to James. And James, I appreciate you coming on the show. And yeah, looking forward to our relationship in the future.
Love it. Teddy, one last thing I'm going to challenge everyone, and I like to challenge someone in a different way. All right. If you liked what you heard today from Teddy, all right, what I want you to do, and most people won't do it. They won't do it. They're too busy. They make excuses. You won't do it. But will you share this? I don't know. Go to LinkedIn. Tell one other person, like, hey, check out Teddy's show. I love this guy, the guy with the beard. Share. I promise you, it will help Teddy out tremendously, and not just help Teddy. More importantly, it's going to help out your friends because Teddy puts out solid content. So thanks for having me today, Teddy, and hopefully someone will take me up on that challenge and share about you.
I appreciate that, James, and thanks for coming on.
You're welcome.